Celia, no, I'm really in love with Elena. And so Celia, of course, is like questioning his sanity because she's like because he doesn't fall in love. And then she starts questioning like Elena's sanity. She's like, because she cornered me in the restroom and she had tears and everything. So Hudson at first he kind of believed her, but then he was like, nah, she can't be. But he still kind of like, she got teary eyed, so she was pretty convincing. But then she tells him like, she's happy for him. So that's when he kind of starts to wonder about kind of like his actions, like all this time with her. Like it kind of starts to play with him even more so. So then we also see why Hudson was so willing to believe Celia. It's like, the truth is, the girl, she could put on a show. Like she's an actor, like for real. And so because she doesn't show these type of emotions when she does it, he's more apt to believe her, because it's not like she's just some crying chick all the time. So makes more sense. So the whole standoff, when Celia, accused Elena of, harassing her and stalking her. That whole scene, she had called Hudson at the office earlier that day, and she was crying again, and she's like, you've got to meet me at your loft. And so he goes, and his mom's there, Jack's there, and her brother Brian's there. And so it starts to make it makes a little sense why he did believe Celia. Yes, because she's crying. Yes, she had proof showing all these calls and things like that. But in the back of his mind, he was upset too, because he's like, she's been lying to me, because she had been going behind his back, seeing Celia. He had just found out about the true nature of the relationship between, her and David. So it makes more sense why he kind of did believe her. Still messed up, but I get it. Makes a little bit more sense. So he leaves with Celia, and his mother Sophia comes along. She gets in the elevator as well. Sophia has already forgiven Celia because she doesn't think it was Celia's fault, not realizing Celia ass went in there to seduce. But the mother, of course, believes Jack seduced her. It makes sense. He has the history of whoring around. So it's easier for her to just be upset with Jack and not with Celia, because she loves Celia. This is who she wanted Hudson to wind up with. A little sideways, but okay. So when they leave, Sophia goes off, and he rides with Celia in a cab to wherever she's going, and he kind of lets her know that it's kind of crazy they're exchanging that cab. It kind of is, because they've played this game for so long, and it's kind of to hear them talk about it in such like a nonchalant way when they've like really hurt people. It's kind of like, wow, they both have like major issues. But he basically lets her know, he doesn't want anything else to do with her. He's just done with her. And then he kind of realizes that possibly he gets it, like, oh, Elena wasn't the actual subject. He was. Because remember, he's the one that's not supposed to be able to love. And I think when she saw that spark, when he first saw Elena, she was like, let's play with him. He's going to fall in love, and I'm going to destroy it. And that was her whole purpose. So I'm like, dang, this bitch is good. Talk about manipulation. Oh my gosh. So then we also find out, it goes back into goes back to the past, and we find out that Mirabelle is the reason he started going to go see Dr. Albert. So Mira hasn't been as naive as we, first thought. She clearly saw his destructive behavior and saw how it was affecting him as well as people around him. And that's why he went and got the help that he needed. But I thought that was crazy. He had a situation for Mira's when she was getting married, her engagement party. And he was messing with this woman that was already engaged, but it was one of Mira's friends. And he was about to screw the girl at the party. And the hurt that he saw on Mira's face, it's like when Mira hurts, that affects him. Nobody else before Elena affected him. But Mira, because she's genuine, she really does love her brother. She really is like this good person. She really, just wants the best for everyone. And so to see her in pain, it disturbs him. It's something that he can't handle. And it's like, even though he doesn't say he loves her, that is probably the first person he really did love was his sister, because he really would do anything for Mira. He really would. And so then we also find out a little bit about, not much, but Gwen, the one that was hired, Gwen Anders, who is the sister of Norma Anders. We find out she left the 88 Club. It was because of a man. We figured that as much. But then Norma asked Hudson, how do you make sure a person can't be found? And he's like, what do you mean? There's different ways. You got to get a new social security number. It's not legal, but it can be done. And she's like, well, that kind of needs to be done for Gwen. And he's like, he's on it. Because Norma's been there for years, always helped him out. Some stuff over the board, some stuff under the board. And so he's willing to help. So I'm curious, because there is a fifth book. So I'm curious if they're going to go into more detail about what happened with Gwen. Because that sounds extremely interesting to me. So Hudson had Jack help him buy up the stocks in Gameplay. And he did that using one of Jack's companies called Walden Inc. Jack, of course, is going to do anything for Hudson for more than one reason. Of course, he loves his son, but also because he's trying to get back in his son's good graces. He's done so much messed up stuff over the years, and he really just wants to get back to a good place with his son. And so he told him, whatever you need, I'll do it. Doesn't matter what it is. You tell me, I'll do it. And so he's all about doing this. And also because he really does like Elena, and he sees, okay, this is why he's doing it, because we need some type of insurance with Celia. So that's how they were able to acquire Warner Industries, because they were able to buy it up. No one saw it coming, and then boom, he owns it. It kind of keeps going back and forth between the different times. It did all the same scenes. It was just from the perspective of Hudson. It does show with Celia initially when he stopped the game. Before, Celia was just kind of like, she spazzed out because she couldn't believe it. She was like, why are you trying to stop it? And because she had come so used to it, it was like, we can't end this, because it felt like a lifeline. I personally think she, of course, is still in love with Hudson, and this allows her to be around him. This allows her to still have a connection to him. So if we sever the game, if we stop the game, I no longer am able to be around the person that I'm really in love with, even though I know I can't be them. A little toxic, but I think that's probably what her issue is. So the story fast forwards 3 years later, and Elena has a baby girl. Hudson's a little concerned about Celia. She's gotten engaged. and he still hasn't told Elena that he was actually the one that was the subject of the experiment, and it's partly for embarrassment. And I think also Elena, she does overthink, and I think he doesn't want to put any more on her. He's trying to really get rid of that whole Celia portion of his life, and so he doesn't really want to go into it. So our next book, which I told you this was going to be super short, like it's not going to be long today because it really just kind of went back and forth between, you know, his past and the present, and telling the story from Hudson's perspective. So this didn't have to be that long. But Fix Forever is the final book in this series. That one I think is gonna, I think it's like 9 years or something like that. It's gonna fast forward and start. So that one's gonna be, I think, a lot of chaos. So I'm excited about that one. So the goal is to get that to you guys by this Friday. That's the goal. If I don't, then you know it's gonna be that following Monday. What do you guys think so far? Drop down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. As always, I thank you so much for tuning in to the Always Reading Book Club.